The quick and easy is that domain means x values and your range means y values. But I'm going to give it to you in a couple ways. So on this one, notice these relations are actually all identical. I've got the same coordinates here, 2, 3, 4, 0, negative 3, 3, and 2, 0. I've written these as a table and I've written these as a mapping. Notice how mappings work. I still got my x's and my y's, but they connect together. So negative 3, 3, that's this one right here. 4, 0, that's this one right here. 2, 0, and 2, 3. That's exactly what we have up there. So I've got 4 different ways of representing these. The easiest one I think to pick out the domain and range for is the mapping, but they're all pretty easy. So our domain is negative 3, 4, and 2. You don't need to repeat values. That's why I think the mapping is the easiest, because it already combines down repeating values. For my range, I've got 0, 3. Another cool thing about mappings is they usually put those in order from least to greatest. If it's not in order from least to greatest, we won't count it wrong, but we prefer that, and so will your multiple choice answers. They'll be least to greatest as well. Now, if you just were given this graph over here, could you still pick out the domain and range? Check it out. Your domain is your x, so you just need to see how these coordinates line up with that x. So we've got 1 at 4. We've got 1 at 2. And we've got 1 at negative 3. Looking back there, I didn't notice it before, but these are out of order, aren't they? Sorry, least to greatest. There you go. So we've got 1 at negative 3, we've got 1 at 2, and we've got 1 at 4. Also look back at these mappings, and right here, these coordinates in these tables, my domain just came from that column. My domain just came from the first coordinate of each of those. Now if you were going to do the range, I'm going to switch to red so you can see it a little bit better. I would be looking at my y-axis. So let's see my values here. I've got values at 0 because it lines up with the origin, and I've got 2 values here at 3, so 0 and 3. If I was going to look at those coordinates, I've got my y values as the second part of each of those coordinates, and my y values are found right there as well. So take a moment, try to find what I asked for on these next 3 problems, but I'm going to go ahead and solve them, so pause it if you need it. So if I'm just asking for the range, I want the y values. So I want to use this set notation saying these all go together. And I just want to pick out the second part of each of these. So I'm going to go least to greatest, so my negative 7, and then my 5, and then my 7. Those were in order, just backwards. That's all I got to do. For your domain, I'm going to go to my x values then. So here are my x values. I'm just going to put those in order from least to greatest. Again, wonderfully, it's been done for us. And then our domain of this graph, I just gave you 2. You just got to remember which one is your domain, which is your x-axis. So I need to see how it lines up with this x-axis. So I have 2 of them. I've got negative 2 and I've got 1. So negative 2 and 1.